humble does not mean play small.
Yes.
Humble actually means to own all of your gifts and be grateful.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Reengineered Podcast. I'm Madhusmita Nayak, your host, and it's a pleasure for me today to welcome one of a very beautiful guest, Paddy Kennedy. She is one of the global thought leader in the field of voice and communication. She has more than 30 years of experience in helping people in their personal development, and most importantly, giving them tools and techniques on the way how they can find out their authentic voice. Welcome, Paddy, to my podcast.
Thank you so much for having me with you today. I'm really pleased to be here, Madhu. Thank you.
Thank you. And you have given tools and techniques and strategies for so many people in your last 30 years or 40 years of experience, helping them to find out their authentic voice. So what does this voice stands for? Is it the way they talk? Is it the content? Is it the tone? What is actually voice?
You know, the poet Wordsworth said that the human voice is the organ of the soul.
Exactly.
What is the first thing we do when we are born? We raise our
Voice.
And if we don't raise our voice, they're bringing in people, they're smacking you, they're sticking tubes in you. I mean, the voice is the first thing that we do when we are born. We raise it. And we're born, we raise it loud and proud.
We cry.
Like, I am here. That's true. So I believe that the human voice, it's not just the sound of the most magnificent instrument, which it is, the human voice.
Yes.
Richard Strauss of the great musical Strauss family said that the voice is the most magnificent of all the instruments, but it's the most difficult to play. But for me, let's look at voice in two ways. Let's look at it first, as the poet Wordsworth said, as the organ of the soul. It's your expression. It's who you are. It's your identity. Somebody can phone you. If you know them, you recognize their voice.
Correct.
So it's the sound of the voice, but it's also the point of view voice and what people really believe. For me, the authentic voice is giving people the skills so that they can stand in their truth.
Correct.
Stand in what they know to be beautiful.
And what represents their identity.
Represent themselves, speak from that platform of truth, beautiful, and good. Speak from there. And then, if you're interested, let's do a little work to learn how to play the instrument. Because this human voice has the capability through its vibration to go into your audience's mind, touch their brain, touch their imagination, and it can actually create new synapses in your listener's brain, meaning they will think of what you're saying in ways they've never thought of before. This is the great superpower. Now think of times when you hear people, and unfortunately mainly women, that's why I love to work with women in voice, because as soon as we get tense, you see what happens to my voice when I get tense and I raise my shoulders? I lose that beautiful vibration, that beautiful resonance. And so when we're speaking like this and we're delivering something that's really important, your audience, I promise you, your audience will not know 3 minutes later what you were talking about, because the voice is a vibration. And everybody talks about vibes. I feel the vibe.
Yes.
Well, use this magnificent instrument to create the vibe. It's the most difficult to play because it is at once like an oboe. It's like a wind instrument, because the sound is made as the voice comes across the vocal cords.
Yeah.
But it's like a Stradivarius violin because the vocal cords vibrate. And that's where the vibration and the resonance comes from. So if your audience were to think about this, the people whom they have heard speak, whom they remember, had beautiful voices. They were not screeching. They were not yelling. They were speaking from their heart.
Something which touch your soul and heart.
Because it is the expression of your heart and soul. It is who you are. It is your identity. People Wayne Dyer said that one of the problems with humanity is that all the great gifts we are given for free, we ignore, like the mind, the power of the mind, the subconscious mind,
Correct.
and like this magnificent instrument.
We don't use them to our optimum level, to influence or to
This
get...
is the great persuader. If you're
Yes.
in sales, for example, and you use this voice to go into your listener, your buyer, your potential buyer's
Correct.
mind,
and convince them, and we get it.
absolutely.
Yeah. So saying that, because many people don't use it, right? The voice, which is one of the most significant influencing factor. What is the biggest roadblock? Why people inhibit and they don't open up what they are feeling, what their expression is? What is the biggest roadblock you have seen?
Fear.
Fear of what?
Fear of rejection, of being ridiculed, of not being listened to, of not being understood. I think it's around the world, people, regardless of culture, in my experience, many, many years of coaching, they need to be understood. They need to be heard and then understood. And so many times we grow up and we shut up, sit down, who do you think you are? All of these things that come into us. Do you know, we have more conversations with ourselves than we do with anyone else in the world.
Correct.
And I don't know how studies have proven this, but many studies will tell you that 85% of our self-talk is negative. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I don't know. I'm
So
not
that is
smart
one
enough.
of the roadblock which actually...
I think that's the biggest. We're afraid. We're afraid to stand up. And because of the world, I mean, the world is ready to criticize all of us in a nanosecond,
Uniformly,
right?
yes.
And the world is not that keen to say, oh, good job. So, for example, when I'm asked to give a review on somebody's service, I rarely put in the negative stuff. I always like to report the good stuff.
Correct.
Because there's not enough good stuff. But all of us are so quick to be the critic and to say, well, I don't know, I think, and we are our worst enemy. So I think it's shyness, I think it's fear, I think it's an innate, very human quality that most of us have, like, who am I
To speak.
to stand up? But listen, you have to speak to be heard. And more importantly, if you want to get a promotion in your job, you got to speak to be seen.
Correct.
If you're just sitting there being quiet.
And hope that somebody else will come and talk to you, no.
Do you know that studies show that with women, 75% of the time when women are in the minority, we will choose to remain silent. And so many of my clients, and even high-level corporate clients, they're sitting there, they've got an answer to the question, or
But they don't open up.
And then some young fella, usually a guy, sitting next to them, says exactly what's on their mind, and he becomes the hero for the day.
Correct.
And so my program, Your Brave Voice, is why aren't people speaking up? Because you know what? We need to tap into our bravery, our courage. I have a right to speak.
Speak up.
I have a magnificent instrument given to me by the great Creator. This is the organ of my soul. I have a right as a human being to bring my soul to the world.
So beautiful. And saying that, and you are motivating, you are educating and empowering. I'll not say empowering, you are facilitating them with all the tools and techniques for the youngster, for the woman especially, to open up, because speaking is the first step.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes.
Saying that, did you have any situations, a scenario where you yourself, you took a step back and you did not have that courage to open up your own voice in any platform?
Well, yes. And it still does tend to happen because, believe it or not, I, like many people, I'm shy and I tend to be an introvert, although I speak a lot. I can stand in front of 5,000 people and speak, but I'm very shy. But yeah, one of my great claims to fame, now I'm an older gal, as you can tell, and I actually got kicked out of the feminist movement. This is one of my greatest claims in the world. I mean, how
Okay.
do you get kicked out of the feminist movement? I was a single disabled mom.
Okay.
But here's what happened. I belonged to a collective of women in Canada, Vancouver, very, very progressive. We worked with women who had been subjected to violence and rape. And the collective was great. It was back in the late 70s. And the women that were in charge of it, they were really well intended. They were all pretty white women, and they came from that place of privilege. So one thing, for example, they said to us is, when you're working with white women and who have been raped or violated, you give them 50% of your energy and you save the other 50% for the movement, the feminist movement. However, when you're working with women of color or indigenous women, you give them 75% of your energy. And this was inherently racist.
Correct.
And I know they meant well, but my experience of traveling around the world is that indigenous and non-white women are really strong.
Yes.
And white women, through our privilege, not all, but through the privilege of white, they're not that strong. So there was that. And there was a couple of things that they were, really they meant well, but they were just going in the wrong direction. So they were very well known in Canada. We were the first group to get a shelter for women where we didn't use government money. So we were really progressive. But the rest of the women around the world were hearing these things about some of the things that they were doing, like this inherently racist thing. So they called, all these women came to Vancouver from the government, all these big feminist women, and they staged 3 meetings. And the first meeting I went there, and I wanted to speak, because I knew I had something to say.
Correct.
Three things I wanted to address, but I didn't. And I went home and I had a really bad headache. And I was really angry at myself because
Why you didn't speak?
They had the second meeting a few days later. Same thing. This time I went home and I actually got sick to my stomach. I'm like, what is the matter? I was afraid. Come on, there was press there. There was media there. Who am I?
To open up.
To open up. I don't come from that nice, pretty middle class. I come from a difficult background with an alcoholic father, and so who am I to address? And on the third time, a girlfriend of mine said, if you don't speak up tonight, I don't know what's going to happen to you. You're going to get really sick. So I did. I was trembling, and I thought I was going to throw up, but I just said all that I had to say. And the whole place went nuts, clapping. People stood up. The media interviewed me.
Amazing.
Da. And a few days later, I got a letter in the mail from the collective saying that I had been resigned due to my insubordination. And I got kicked out. But you know, I tell that story because I had physical reaction to not speaking my truth.
Correct.
It was my truth. It wasn't that I wanted to rock the boat. I loved these women, but they didn't know what they were doing. And after that was a real turning point, because I know, and many of your audience I think will relate to this, when you know the truth, your truth, which you're entitled to your truth, and you don't speak it, and you hold it in, this is how so much sickness and illness
That is the
starts.
worst suffering, that you know what the truth is, but you cannot open up. But you getting resigned from that position that you had, was that a setback?
Well, I'm a bit of a rebel. And I look back now, no, I mean, there were two other women who supported me, who also got resigned. And I've got to tell you, I mean, so in my life, I've been kicked out of a few things, but I'm like, never mind, I got kicked out of the feminist movement. It's almost like and I'm still a feminist, and I still believe that women have the right to speak up. So it didn't really set me back. What it did is it taught me. So now we go forward to just this last December, and I was invited to a Christmas party on the Palm. I only knew the people that were hosting it in their lovely flat. And I'm on the way there going, oh my God, I don't know anybody. And I said, girl, you're going to walk in there and you're going to shake hands and you're going to say, hi, my name is Paddy. And that's what I did. And I actually met people now with whom I've had coffee. So it still comes today, and I still have to say, girl, you're going to go in there with and even coming in the taxi here this morning, girl, You're not going to be shy. You're going to stand in your truth. You're going to speak from your heart. And may you please maybe help one or two people in the audience.
This is so beautiful and inspiring. I think this is one of the takeaway which our audience listening to us should take it, like every one of us, every day, that are the 3 mantras, like get up, go into it, breathe in, breathe out, and just show up.
And re-engineer yourself.
Yes.
Every day.
Every day. And it has to be continuous.
Yes.
Because most of us, I will tell you my story too, like, you know, when I was a young girl, and I love speaking up, but because I had an accent problem. I come from East India where they have a particular accent when we speak. So when I used to go for MBA presentation and all, so people used to look at me, okay, you spoke like this. So what I did, I re-engineered myself. I have chosen few people who are very good in English. So I told them, please note down the words which I was wrongly pronouncing. And after my presentation, they will give it to me and I will redo it, re-engineer it, and repronounce it. And next day I'll come up, but I'll show up.
Yeah.
So
showing up. That's where you really get the confidence.
Yes.
To show up.
So you are also an accent reduction trainer and educator, right?
Yes.
So do you think this really matter when you are speaking? Because that was one of the roadblock for me personally. So many of us, especially who are coming from this mother tongue background and they have the mother tongue slang in the speaking. So is there any strategy or is there any quick tip that you want to share or your thoughts on this?
I wrote a program on accent reduction because all of the textbooks weren't working. You can't learn to speak by using your eye. You have to use your ear.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Accent is not the problem. This is my whole thesis. It's that we need to learn the rhythm patterns of the language. So English, especially the English that I speak, which is called transatlantic or North American English, its rhythms tend to be in jazz. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Da-da-da-da-da. It's very musical. So when people come to me to correct their accent, I teach them how to speak in what are called thought groups.
Okay.
Because each thought group, there's a pause. And you'll notice that the words between the pauses are musical.
Correct.
And they have a rhythm. And when you get the rhythm of the language, people will understand you. But I have an accent. Everyone has an accent. English is not the Queen's English anymore. It's a globalized, pluralized language.
Correct.
And linguists recognize that it's not just one English anymore. So everybody has an accent. Accent's not the problem. And the thing is about why we don't want to lose the accent. It represents your mother tongue.
Correct.
It's such a big part of your soul, of who you are and what you bring to the world. So I'm going to be putting up more videos soon on this pausing and thought groups idea, because when we learn how to pause it, and it's very easy, a radio broadcaster, which as you know I am, we mark our script with 2 lines, which shows where we're going to have a pause. The written language and the spoken language are different languages. They have different rhythms. So we mark it. And I would mark my script if I'm going to do something, and I teach clients to mark their script. And that the double lines means a pause. And automatically, when people do that,
they fall into the rhythm.
They go into the rhythm.
Yes.
And it's like singing a song and you don't know the words, but you're singing it and you're sure you got the right words, but because it's the rhythm and look at opera singers who sing in 6 different languages and don't speak any of them.
Correct.
But they can do it because they know the rhythm. So it's not accent, it's rhythm.
It's rhythm. And as you said, truly, because accent is, again, an identity just like voice.
Yes.
So we should be proud and embrace it and take it forward.
And when you're speaking to people from your own group, speak in your rhythm. When you want to be on the global stage and you're speaking English, you'd want to practice these pausing and marking your script. And people can see, I mean, I don't like to promote myself, but there is a little video that people can check out called, I think it's called Expert Advice on Accent Reduction.
Okay.
And it's just a little 3 or 4 minute thing where I go in and I talk about this. And an example I use is Jackie Chan, the actor.
Yeah, I have seen that in the YouTube.
Yeah, the guy opens his mouth. You know he was born in a Chinese-speaking country. But you understand everything. And he makes buckets of money. Why? Because he speaks in American rhythm patterns. But he sounds Chinese. His accent's not the problem.
Correct.
So
it's a rhythm that we have
it's a rhythm.
Yes.
Get the music going. So don't let accent interfere in your speech or
Thank you.
your
I'll
expression.
take a note of that. And I think this will be a good takeaway for our audience too.
Yeah.
And now coming to your coaching and coming especially for the woman coaching in the leadership role, do you think their voice really matters when they are taking decision for themselves, decision for the community, and how it plays a major role, and when they think that, okay, this is the time to open up our voice and make it happen?
Well, I think it's hugely important. And I also think it's really important for men. However, women across the globe have been socialized to be quiet, to not speak up. Shh. Women should be seen and not heard. I mean, I know it's changing.
Yeah.
But even young women are still shy to stand up and speak up. So, number one, we've been socialized. Don't rock the boat. It's men's business. You look at the world right now.
Correct.
It's predominantly men sitting at these tables. I'm watching the World Court thing go on. There's a few women there. I think the chairperson is a woman. But for the most part, I think what's wrong in the world actually is the silence of women's voices. And I really want to encourage women. It's not men who hold us back. We must just find our bravery, our courage, understand this is our soul. And for people who have a religion, not everybody does. Some people believe universe, some people believe God, Allah. I don't care who you believe in.
Yeah.
The fact is, we were given this magnificent gift. And we get to bring it to the world. The great American writer whom I like so much, Marianne Williamson, says that we are born to make manifest the glory of God. That could be the glory of the Creator, the glory of Source, I don't care what you call it. The fact is, we are not born by mistake.
Correct.
We are not given this voice by mistake. Helen Keller, who was mute, blind, and deaf, became a professional speaker. She learned how to speak. The urge to speak is in each and every one of us. Even if we don't have a voice, we learn to sign. Correct. We are here to express ourselves. There's no mistakes. We're not here by mistake. There are no losers in this world. There are people who have
came with a purpose.
We have all come with a purpose, whatever that is. It may be big, it may be small. I don't think it gets measured by our Creator. Your purpose was small, so you can't come in. No, but we all are born with a purpose.
Yeah.
And we are given this magnificent instrument to not only express our purpose, but to help, to share, to serve, to give comfort. So with women, I want to say, listen, everything I've just said to you, now listen up. I call the program Your Brave Voice, not your authentic voice. Authentic is a word everybody's using. It doesn't even mean anything anymore. But I thought, why aren't women speaking up? We lack the courage, just like when I was in those meetings and I wasn't speaking, because I wanted to say, I knew it was true. I knew my intention was pure and good.
But you were just not holding it. Yeah, scared to
And I was
open
getting
up.
sick. So we have to, we don't have to do anything, to be honest with you. You can sit on the couch all day and be a slouch if that's what you want.
So what is the technique that we will use when you are scared immediately to open up?
I am exercises.
Okay.
These go way back centuries. I am beautiful, I am bold, I am brave, I am brilliant, I am capable, I am confident. I am. Now women say to me, well, can I say I'm not good? No.
I am good.
I am. And even if you don't believe it, You keep repeating it. Because how did we learn all the negative stuff? Because we kept repeating it.
Negative.
I'm no good. I'm not smart enough. I can't do it. I can't. We 85% of our self-talk.
Yes.
We need to flip that to 85% is, yes, I can.
I am.
I am. I am beautiful. I am strong. I am all the, and just keep writing them. Listen, I've done this for years. I still do it. I have I ams in front of me at my desk. I have I am on my vision
This is kind
board.
of a manifestation that we all do and we should do. And this brings a difference. And that was the intention for me to start off this podcast too. Like when I started, I was so perplexed, like where to start, what to start. But I will start.
Exactly.
So, and you learn through the
Exactly.
process, as
Yes.
you said. The negative resonates the same way. If we keep talking positive, that also resonates.
If you write a list of I ams, and then you in the morning, you stand in front of the bathroom mirror and you say them, and you speak with conviction, even if you don't believe it. And then you fold that little paper and you keep it in your pocketbook, your purse, your pocket, whatever. And throughout the day, you're at work, somebody gives you a hard time. You can either say it right out loud to them, listen, don't talk to me like, because I am smart. Or, if you haven't got the courage yet, go into the bathroom and read your list again.
And open that sheet and read
keep
it.
doing it.
Okay.
Over and over. Recently, a year and a half ago, I was to be on the cover of the Aspire magazine with 2 other women, the Dubai magazine.
Okay.
And the photographer wouldn't let me smile. So I'm doing all, and what's going on is, I am powerful. I am a CEO.
And you were telling that to
I was
yourself.
telling that to myself.
Okay.
And so people look at the photos and they go, wow, these photos are so powerful.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, I was doing
it reflects,
my I am.
right?
Yeah.
It reflects.
Yeah, because it's your vibe.
Vibes.
It's your vibration.
Yeah.
And that's how you're going to speak. But if you go, well, I don't know, I'm not going, and then you're going to get up there, you're going to have this little voice like this.
And it
then
shows up.
It does all the time.
Yeah. Very good. I'm so happy to hear this. And this will be a practice that if we keep doing it, we will see the result.
Change.
Yeah.
And people will go, oh, I didn't notice you before.
Like
Women
this.
actually get promoted in
yeah.
the company after they do this program because all
Okay.
of a sudden they're being noticed and they're speaking. And they're not waiting for the kid next to them or the young man or whoever next to them. They are standing in their truth and speaking.
Have you seen this reflected in any of your clients
Oh,
when
all the
they have
time.
realized their brave voice?
All the time.
Yeah?
All the time. I get women, first thing we do is we do vocal exercises. And one thing I want your audience to know, if you want to strengthen your voice, hum. Hum. That develops the resonance and the strength of your voice.
Okay.
But yesterday I was with a client, second class. So and she's got such a wonderful topic that she wants to bring to the world. But she's kind of like this, and she's so lovely.
And so soft.
And now we've done 2 classes, and now she's like this. And the voice, I'm like, girl, you do these exercises, and I'm getting goosebumps because the voice is so strong. She's, yeah, I can feel it. And I was at a meeting the other day, and someone said, there's something different about you. And she said, it's my voice. Because in just 2 sessions of breathing and humming and recognizing, women do this, men, yes, but women, we play small. We confuse being humble with being, oh, maybe I should just...
Soft, yeah.
Humble does not mean play small.
Yes.
Humble actually means to own all of your gifts and be grateful.
Exactly.
Be
grateful.
grateful.
Yeah.
That you have this magnificent instrument here, that you're born. We're all born with greatness, every one of us. There are no losers.
So good. So, and do you think that this should be practiced from a young age? Because you started your coaching when you were 19.
I did.
Did you remember that your voice mattered the same way?
Well, in those days, I was doing athletic coaching, because back then, it's 52 years ago.
Okay.
They weren't business coaches. They were only athletic coaches. So I was a professional figure skater. I was an almost Olympian. Missed the team trials by 1/10 of a point.
Amazing.
Tough. But so I started out that way. But let me tell you this. I had a mom. Now, my mom was a single mom. She raised 4 kids. Back in the days, back in the 50s and 60s, it was not easy. And she used to say, first of all, every night after dinner, she had 4 kids, so there were 5 of us.
Yeah.
Every night after dinner, we'd put the dishes in the sink to soak in hot water, and then it was public speaking time.
Okay.
So we had to do elocution. And she would give us a subject, and we had to stand up and speak at the dinner table. Because she used to say, by God, no one will know my kids come from the wrong side of the tracks.
Okay.
And so she made us speak. So when I became very disabled, which is a whole other story, very, very disabled, the only thing I had was this ability to speak and to communicate. And people had said to me, you've got a great voice for radio. And I used to think, well, does that mean I don't have a good enough face for TV? But I went to school and I studied both television and radio. And I chose radio because I loved the art of the voice. There's no body language. There's no face to help me. There's no lights. There's no makeup. It's just you in the dark little radio studio in front of a microphone. And your job is to keep telling the story in such a way that they don't go to another radio station.
Correct.
This was the great art. And I loved it. And I started that in 1990. That's when I did my work at the National Institute of Broadcasting. And here I am all these years later. I'm still studying voice. I'm fascinated by voice. And it is what differentiates me from all the other leadership coaches, speaking coaches, strategic communication coaches, is, think of it, when do you hear people say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not very often that we hear people say, no, let's get down into your heart. Speak from your heart, because then your voice will resonate, and then your audience will say, oh, I loved her. I don't know, something about her. I just got her. I felt it, her vibe.
Yeah.
And they don't even know what they're talking about.
Exactly.
But that's exactly what it is.
It is. And it resonates them, and it went inside their head and heart, right? So that they memorize and they remember that.
Imagine if the world, we all just brought our beautiful soul.
Correct.
Not our opinions. Opinions are one thing. I'm talking about bringing your truth. Imagine what a beautiful world it would be, because I think we are inherently good and kind. And it's only when we get hurt that makes us go nasty. And here's another thing that your audience should know. Any emotion that we're holding back will affect the voice.
Yeah.
Any kind of muddled thinking
It will affect the voice.
affect the voice. So before you're going to say something, take that moment and perhaps put a smile on your face, because that also changes your voice. But just take that moment and think about, why am I saying? Is it important? Would silence be better than my words?
Better than opening your voice.
And if we would just do that, we would have a beautiful world to live in. And I really encourage women, come to the table with something to say. The silence of women. In 1993, as a journalist, I interviewed the Dalai Lama in Vancouver, way back when. And we had a great long conversation. I said to him, what do you think is the biggest threat facing humanity? This was in 1993. And he said, it is men in power and their love of war toys that will take us to the brink of destruction. And it will be the women of the world who bring us back. And I said, how? And he said, with your voice.
Amazing. And he understood, right?
I still get goosebumps, you know. And I don't know if you know, on the 1st of December this year, the Pope of the Catholic Church came out and said, we must look to mothers and women, for they will take us back to peace. That's a paraphrase of what he said. I thought, well, the Dalai Lama was saying that way back in 1993. The Pope of the Roman Catholic Church, he's not the most progressive dude in the world, we got to face it. And there he is,
also talking,
encouraging the world to listen to women. When Meryl Streep was asked about the war in Ukraine, she said, but what about the babies? And we look at what's happening now, and we need the women to say, wait a minute. What about the babies?
Correct.
This is how women think.
Yin. So emotional and empathetical. That's the biggest
yes,
gift
it's
they
the
have.
yin to the yang, if you want to use the Chinese. The yin voice, the woman's voice, and it's up to us to stand up, speak up.
And what is our purpose and what is the intention behind?
And say it loud.
And be brave.
And be brave. That's why I called it Be Your Brave Voice. Listen, if women weren't brave, there would be no babies born.
Correct.
Because giving birth requires a lot of courage.
Courage.
And I only had one child. These women that have more, and some women who have like 8, 10, I mean, come on now. If women aren't brave, we are very brave. We have to be
Exactly.
brave.
And we have to embrace that and acknowledge that we are.
So your women listeners, write down 10 times in your life when you have been brave, and then sit back and read it and celebrate yourself.
Correct.
Hug yourself. Say, wow.
And be proud of that.
Be proud of it.
Yeah. Usually we shy away from our achievements.
Being small serves no one. Being humble means owning the gifts that you have been given and putting them to use.
Correct.
Because that takes courage.
Amazing listening to you, Paddy. And before we sign off, I will ask you last question. If not voice and communication, then where you see yourself? Because I know you're so passionate and your thing is all revolves around voice, and you have brought so many things related to voice, being it your brave voice and how to put it, and you have encouraged many people. So where you see yourself if not in voice and communication?
Well, it would be serving and helping somehow. And what comes to mind is I would go to hospitals and I would hold babies. I would just hold babies and I would talk to them and I would tell them how beautiful they are, especially babies in trouble, especially babies that are being abandoned. I would just hold babies.
That's so emotional and I'm getting goosebumps now, and thank you so much. And any last message or re-engineered thoughts for yourself or audience or for your upcoming book that you are coming up with?
I love the name of this re-engineered podcast. You know, we can re-engineer our lives, our futures, our present living. It takes one breath. I can do it. I am. It doesn't matter what has been in the past.
Yeah.
With every new breath comes an opportunity to stand up, step into your power, be who you were born to be. Don't listen to the naysayers. Find the positive people. Stick with them. The world is full of naysayers. No. Don't listen to them. Re-engineer yourself by believing in yourself, and just know in the next breath, you can make a decision to stand up, to get up, to believe, I can do it, I'm going to do it, I am doing it, and leave all the rest behind.
Correct.
Doesn't matter.
And that's the thought, most of us hold ourselves by thinking that this is such a small difference we are going to make, but that doesn't matter, how small, how big. Let's make a difference.
Absolutely. All those little small steps in time, the mountain is made not of one rock.
Correct.
The mountain is made of a whole bunch of rocks. So a great life is made, life well lived is done by many steps. And you get to it as you go. Yeah.
And thank you so much. It was such a pleasure listening to you. And I think I got a little bit of brave voice now to open up and to see how can we make a difference by spreading this message across all the humanity, and what we are going up and using and utilizing our gift that we have got free but not utilized to the optimum level.
The world is waiting for us, the children are waiting for us, and the children not yet born are banking on us.
Correct.
It's up to us. We need to fix the world with our voice. The
Definitely.
Dalai Lama was
Thank you. Thank you for your brave voice. And dear listeners listening to us, stay tuned and wait for the next episode. Every episode I will be coming up with re-engineered stories and strategies, just like how Paddy shared, how your brave voice is important to make and to bring difference in this world. Thank you so much.